All right, so hello and welcome to our little. We haven't got a name for this series, but we're going to go through and we're going to watch Firefly, and it's going to be good.
Indeed, with the fun spaceness and the fireflies.
So, Dave, how before you watched, because we watched the pilot for this, how much did you know about the show?
I knew the title of it, it existed, Nathan Fillion was a part of it, and there were some supposed memes or other catchphrases from the show that were fairly popular, but nothing specific about the show that I've seen from it or knew specifically. But I knew it was a fairly big thing when it was out.
Yeah. So let's start with some of the basic information up front. So this episode originally aired December 20th, 2002. Now that might seem like a weird date to premiere a show, seeing as this is the pilot episode. However, this was not the first episode aired.
Oh,
This was the last episode that Fox aired.
Uh, hmm. Well, on the one hand, it's Fox, so it's mostly kind of the question of I need more information.
So they basically were like, no, this episode's too. I think the term they used was too cerebral. So, like, we want a different episode to air first. So I think they aired episode 2 as the pilot.
Okay, so yeah, Fox, you kind of need to give a bit more information on that because I'm pretty sure people could construe that in a lot of different ways. Like, more cerebral? What?
It, like, it's also like, but this episode introduces everyone. So the pilot, everybody's gonna, like, the show is gonna assume you know who all the characters are. So it would be very confusing.
Just a little bit, yeah.
So the episode, viewership wise, did about 4.16 million, which wasn't great, but it was a Friday night death slot, so you know.
Hmm.
Number one movie in America. Any guesses for this week? December of 2002.
Time. I'm not too sure what the end of the year. That. And nothing's coming to mind that I could even throw in as a wacky guess.
It's Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
Okay, with two towers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense.
Yep. Uh, Number one song in America according to the Billboard charts this week. Any guesses?
No, that was too late. That's still a couple of years off. I got nothing. Nothing for a decent guess.
Ah. Well, the answer is Lose Yourself by Eminem.
Sure, I've heard of that one.
Oh, you definitely have.
I'm sure.
You
It's
have.
not ringing any bells.
You would know it, trust me. It's like one of the only Eminem songs everyone knows.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's from, did you ever see the movie 8 Mile?
Not with that one, but I know of 8 Mile.
Yeah, it's the song from 8 Mile.
I see.
You're like, oh, okay, I know what that one is. Um,
Yeah.
WWF champion at the time. Any guesses?
Oh, your audience and just about everyone knows that I most likely don't know this answer.
I figured there was a chance. It's Kurt Angle,
Oh, okay.
who had just won the title
Oh,
5 years
damn, I
before.
probably could have if I actually remembered his name or any sort of history at this sort of particular time. I think at the very closest is there was a particular wrestling game that was released out on the Nintendo GameCube that Nintendo Power was advertising at the time.
Oh, was that Dave Reckoning or Dave Reckoning 2? I'm not sure, but both of those games were
Possibly the
whoppers.
first one, but still.
Those are both really good, actually. Although nothing will beat Here Comes the Pain.
Not even that one particular wrestling game on the Kinect?
No, we don't talk about that, Dave. Hulk
Hmm.
Hogan's the main event. I mean, that's like the third best. Alrighty, so for plot synopsis for part one. In 2511, Sergeant Malcolm Malreynolds and Corporal Zoe Aline fight at the Battle of Serenity Valley. During the Unification War, without air support, their side is eventually defeated by the Alliance. 6 years later, Mal is the captain of his own transport ship, an older model Firefly class vessel he named Serenity, and Zoe is his second in command. The rest of the ship's crew consists of Walsh, who is a pilot and Zoe's husband, Kaylee, the engineer, and Jane Cobb, an untrustworthy gun for hire. Inara, a companion, basically like a high-class escort, who rents one of Serenity's two shuttles, normally travels with them, but she's currently away on business. While the crew are illegally salvaging some crates off of a derelict Alliance spaceship, they are spotted by an Alliance cruiser. To escape capture, they deploy a decoy distress beacon. The Alliance cruiser falls for the deception, but broadcasts a bulletin that a Firefly-class ship is carrying stolen Alliance goods. The crew of Serenity travel to Persephone to deliver the stolen goods to Badger, the small-time gang leader who hired them for the heist. However, Badger reneges on their deal because he's worried about the Alliance broadcast about the theft. He also does not like the way Mal looks down on him. Mal decides to try selling the cargo to Patience, an old business associate who lives on Whitefall. Zoe has misgivings since Patience shot Mal the first time they met, but Mal is desperate to get rid of the hot cargo. The crew picks up passengers before leaving Persephone for some income, and Honoria rejoins the ship. The new passengers are a preacher named Shepherd Book, a bumbling man named Dobson, and a wealthy doctor named Simon Tam, who brings aboard a mysterious large crate. En route to Whitefall, Walsh discovers that someone on board sent a message hailing the nearest Alliance cruiser. Suspecting that Simon is the mole, Mal confronts him, only to discover that Dobson is the Fed. Dobson surprises Mal by telling them that it is Simon he wants to arrest, not Mal. During the tense confrontation, a nervous Dobson accidentally shoots Kaylee in the stomach before being overpowered by Book, who's surprisingly good at hand-to-hand combat for a shepherd. When an Alliance cruiser orders them to dock for prisoner transfer, Simon threatens not to treat Kaylee if they do not flee. Mal reluctantly agrees after being prodded by Inara to do so. Mal then opens Simon's mysterious crate and is surprised to find a young woman inside in a cryogenic sleep. So what did you think of part one?
It was a ride.
It's fun, right? Like it opens with the Battle of Serenity.
Mm-hmm.
Which, hey, that's where he got the name of his ship.
No, on whole, just with the story in the first part gives case of things and just how the story goes along with that and tension, story bits from that. And I think just the best is just the reactions with everyone with certain situations, with Malcolm thinking he's being arrested instead of it being the doctor and being like, wait, what is it?
Just wait, what? I got away with this?
But again, just with having that high action, but a bit of humor bits tossed in, just gives it the perfect mesh for this type of show. And again, with its writer at the helm, it's completely understandable.
Yeah. So I mean, like I'm sure most people listening to this know it's created by Joss Whedon, who wrote and directed these two episodes, and it very much feels like that kind of a show, right? Like you completely understand that this is from the same person who created like Buffy, because they have like a similar tone. My favorite is like where there's the I think his name's like Bendis or something in the opening, and Mal's like, "Don't worry, we're too damn pretty to die."
I mean, look at that jawline.
It's so good. Oh, it's good stuff. Anyway, on to part two. The woman in the crate is River Tam, Simon's sister. Simon explains that his sister was a brilliant child who was sent to an elite but secretive Alliance academy when she was 14. After River sent him an encoded letter for help, he discovered that the Alliance was experimenting on the academy students. Simon abandoned his career as a successful trauma surgeon to rescue her. The Alliance wants River back very badly, Mal decides to proceed to Whitefall as planned and drop off both the goods and the Tam siblings. Mal tells Jane to interrogate Dobson to find out what he told the Alliance about them. Once Jane finds out that the Alliance knows nothing, Dobson tries to bribe him, offering enough money to buy a ship. Soon after, they discover that a Reaver ship is approaching. Zoe explains the danger of Reavers to Simon. Luckily, the Reaver ship passes without incident. Serenity lands on Whitefall, not trusting Patience. He sends Jane to take out her hidden snipers while he and Zoe meet Patience and some of her henchmen in a barren valley that looks shockingly like where they had the Battle of Serenity. Mal gives Patience a sample of the cargo as expected. Patience tries to kill them after learning that they have buried the rest. But Mal, Zoe, and Jane dispatch Patience's gang. Mal leaves Patience alive but takes the money he was promised. Jane is warned by Walsh that the Reavers turned around and are following them and followed them to Whitefall. Meanwhile, back on the ship, Dobson escapes, knocking out Book and grabbing River. Mal returns and shoots Dobson, dumping his body off the ship as they start to lift off. The Reavers hot on their trail. Mal orders Inara, Book, Simon, and River to go to Inara's shuttle, just in case the ship is boarded. Jane carries the still convalescing Kaylee to the engine room, and Book offers to help her, with Jane and Book carrying out Kaylee's instructions, which are pretty great because Jane knows nothing about anything. Walsh is able to pull off a crazy Ivan, and Serenity escapes. Jane tells Mal that they should dump the siblings once Dobson had told them that the Alliance will keep coming after River. Mal asks Jane why he did not turn against him. Jane responds that the money was not enough. Mal suggests to Simon that he and River might be safer on the move and points out that Serenity is always moving and in need of a medic. Simon reluctantly accepts his offer. So that is where we sit after the first 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Gives us kind of a nice base of things, introduction to a couple of new characters, add to the crew, bit of a story to kind of add to things, and also kind of a couple of lingering questions of how things might be going in the future.
Yeah, we've set together our main cast, we've got kind of like a mission, and we've established kind of the world that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question for you. What do you think is so special about River?
I think just with the amount of intelligence and the work that's supposedly been done on her, it's kind of a toss-up between either a specific super soldier or high-end tactical sort of mind for either technological hacking purposes or just high-tech strategy that could supposedly be done in specific sort of situations.
Okay, so
again, and most with my thought with how I understand the world with most of the things that are kind of going on and what was kind of explained.
So do you think that, like, she's a human? Do you think that she might be some kind of alien? Because we're in like we're in a world where they can travel between planets, so potentially we're going to see aliens and such.
Yeah, with things like that. As for if it is alien purposes, I wouldn't say that yet. At most, I would say it would be going towards androids or separate type of being to being human with the alterations that possibly happened. But until I sort of see alien species and start to get a little bit more information, that's kind of on the table, but I haven't really considered it as of yet.
Well, we've had the Reavers referenced, and at this point we don't really know if they're human or not anymore. We know they originally were, but they've spent time on the Outer Rims and they might have been corrupted or something.
Stuff like that. Enjoy the human numnies and the
Yes.
Yeah, let's maybe hope that they do it in the order that the second-in-command suggested and not other ways, because that does not sound pleasant.
Yes, yeah. So what did you think of this? Like, are you enjoying Firefly so far?
Indeed, I'm very much enjoying Firefly, just with the story of things, plot that's been placed with stuff, and characters for all their intricacies that I've seen so far. Like, there's the couple that are kind of like good enough character to kind of have, but you're not exactly on the top 5 list as it sits.
Okay, so who is your favorite character after the pilot?
With after the pilot, just with the base of things and understanding as much as I kind of can with most everything, I believe it's the captain that's sitting on the top at the moment.
Mal. Okay, so I've seen through this series once or twice before. From like these episodes, I really liked Shepard.
Indeed, he's definitely good with coming into this sort of situation and going through all the particular motions of what he understands and being put in these sort of situations, how he reacts to it.
And he's just kind of a smartass, and I love that.
Yeah, that's true. Very true with it.
Because he has this.
Go
ahead.
Now go ahead with yours.
He has this line where he's talking to Inara, and he's like, "Oh, I could give you." She's like, "Oh, you're gonna like talk down to me or whatever," and he's like, "Oh, I could give you all sorts of things. I've got speeches about pestilence." And it's very
It's
fun.
seed. All those particular sorts of things. But as for other characters that I really enjoy, if I got the name right, it's with Wash, the pilot of the ship, just with his particular reactions and kind of sort of seeing a side of he has control of the ship and his sort of job with things, and him having his kind of moments of snark.
Yeah, Walsh is great. Also, when he's like playing with his dinosaurs.
Yes, that was a very interesting thing with that line coming up. The actual words for it escape me, but me hearing this and hearing it far in the past be like, oh my gosh, this is where this came from.
Curse you on your inevitable turn.
Ah.
Like, that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Well, Dave, we are going to move on to the next episode of Firefly for next week.
Just sticking with the 1 or go with the 2?
Well, we'll record 2, but we'll release 1.
Alrighties.
Strats.
Yes. With all the fancies.
So the next episode will be The Train Job. Mal has second thoughts after discovering that 2 boxes of Alliance goods his crew have been hired to steal are full of badly needed medical supplies, headed for a mining town.
What you first sort of mentioned with it, it's like, wait a minute, trains in space?
Yeah, there's a space train.
Okay, that'll be interesting to see.
It's. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a pretty cool design. I'm a big fan of the space train. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, how could you?
I think that's one other particular thing, because they didn't go too much into detail on the specific spaceships that were shown off, but just with aesthetics of the show and whatnot, I like the design of the Firefly with
it is really cool. Yeah,
how they have it designed, and it literally looks like a firefly.
Yeah.
Haha, its name. But just so interesting with the couple particular designs they go with. Some of them are a bit more traditional, and other ones like the name escapes me now, but the ship at the beginning scanning for them.
Oh yeah, that
just
like Alliance. It's like a
the Alliance thing.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, for something like that, it's like, okay, so expect some interesting designs.
Yeah, I love how like the Firefly is this kind of like old broken down ship that kind of, I mean, it still flies mostly. And then like the Alliance has like all this like stuff that's like pristine and brand new, and it really helps kind of establish like they're kind of screwed.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff. Anyway, until next week, I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.